Hello, all you beautiful people out there. This is Pedro Gonçalves from Change the Y. Today we have an awesome guest, and our guest is Jackstack 99 on PokerStars. If you don't know who this man is, he plays $1,000 heads up hyper turbos. He's a regular, basically beating and fighting against the best heads up players in the world day in and day out. We have a very interesting podcast prepared here. We talk about a lot of topics that I love so much outside of poker, which is basically mental game related. A lot of the things we talk about are very important for Jackstack, and you will hear why in this podcast. And you could divide this podcast into two parts. The first is about 50, 55 minutes long, where we talk about Jackstack's history, how he got into Heads Up Hyper Turbos, um, what he did after Black Friday, very important part of his life, and we will discuss what else he did after moving outside of the United States to be able to continue playing Heads Up Hyper Turbos, and what struggles he had to pass during that time. The second part, we will mainly talk about mental game related stuff, which include a lot of very important aspects like studying, why studying is so important, and why a guy like Jackstack, who is basically on the top of the heads up hyper turbo, heads up gains overall for years, why he still has to study every week and why it's so important to him. Also, we cover topics like meditation, we cover topics like perceived view and the view on things overall. Very, very interesting things. There is a lot to learn from this man. If you are not sure who this man exactly is and you want to learn more about him, search Team 651 on 2plus2 forums or just search Team 651 on Google. Search Jackstack 99, heads up, sit and go, maybe. You'll get the best information on Google. I wish you a lot of fun and enjoy it, and I really hope that you learn as much from this man as I did. I think it was one of the most interesting talks I've ever had. I wish you all the best and enjoy. So, is there anyone with you there, like Jason or someone else?
Well, Jason's in the living room. I'm in my bedroom right now, just hanging out on the bed.
Nice. Okay. So, man, we've been trying to find out more information about Jackstack 99, but it's pretty hard.
Is it hard? Why is it so hard?
I don't know. We found a pretty funny video on YouTube. Tell us about that. What is that about?
That's actually, yeah, it was when we were in Mexico. That was early last year. And it was a night where we had some friends over, and we were all just hanging out, and had probably 7 or 8 glasses of whiskey. And I don't even smoke cigarettes, so it's kind of funny because I actually had a cigarette in my mouth in the video.
Yeah, I saw that.
So we're really drunk, and then Jason's like, "Hey, let's just make a YouTube video. Fuck it." So we just turned on the camera, and we actually made a few videos. That's the only one we posted, but we made 2 more videos, and they were kind of vulgar. They were just too they were just too much to post, so we only posted that one.
So did you send that privately to the guys in the cartel?
No, it was publicly posted on YouTube by Jason.
No, I meant the other ones that you didn't put on.
Oh, the other ones basically, no, I didn't even show my cartel actually. The only people that saw the other 2 videos were me and Jason and my other roommate at the time, Johnny, and my brother.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Nice. So, yeah, man, not a lot of people, I asked around if people know you, and basically they just know your screen name. So, what is there to know about Jackstack 99?
Well, who did you ask?
Basically, mostly MTT players. Obviously, I'm not asking the people that I know from you, because obviously they all know you.
Yeah.
And so I just asked around, just some MTT players, and they were basically like, yeah, I just heard the screen name. He's playing 1K heads up hypers.
I'm surprised even that MTT players would even know my screen name. To be honest, they're usually not, unless they play some heads up sitting goals every once in a while. They're usually just not in that scene, and they really don't recognize anybody.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I never heard the screen name until Pedro talked about you. So yeah,
but
I'm playing like mostly MTT, so I don't know many of the heads up sit and go guys besides like Blanco Negro, because he also plays like MTTs as well.
Well, he doesn't really. He's probably mainly an MTT player, I'd say.
Yeah.
He plays heads up hypers and heads up turbos like once in a blue moon, I'd say.
Yeah.
Actually met him time in Vegas just a couple days after he took the beat for the in the one drop, the Aces versus Aces.
Yeah.
Shit. And I saw Calvin Anderson in like 5K 6max and 1K heads ups, and that's why I think people started talking a little bit. Like guys like, I don't know, I would guess like for us Jaka, Stronghold 1, like these type of players realized your name a little bit more because Cal started jumping into some games and wanted to, I guess, test his skills.
You're talking about Calvin Anderson?
Yeah. Did you play against him, or he didn't crash on you?
I think we might have played like a couple years back, but I met Calvin Anderson at PCA in Bahamas.
Yeah.
I think that was about the PCA of 2014, I think.
Okay.
And we played some blackjack together and stuff, so I think after that, like, he probably just sat other players rather than me.
Okay.
We had fun playing blackjack and drinking a little bit.
I see. And are you doing anything else besides playing heads ups, or you're basically exclusively playing that?
As far as playing poker goes, you mean?
Yeah.
As far as playing poker goes, I only play heads up hypers, and I'll play the Supersonic every week. And also, if there's like any big T-Coops, like the T-Coop main, the Scoop mains, and all this, like any tournament series mains, I'll probably play.
Yeah.
And then the Sonic just on a weekly basis.
I saw a picture of you in a live tournament where you chopped or something, but I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, that was in the PCA of 2013.
Okay.
Me and Joseph Steers, who's actually like the guy that I went to PCA with, him and Jason, we went there together and we roomed together. And it was a funny story because I wasn't even going to play the tournament. And
what was the buy-in?
It was a 5K heads up, but then I just didn't like. I'm not a huge fan of live poker, just in general.
Okay.
So I was basically at PCA just to hang out, enjoy the sun, just do whatever else. Like there's water park there, and like just have some drinks and just hang out with friends because the whole poker community is basically over there.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, last minute, like literally the day of the 5K heads up tournament, I showed up over there, and Jason was like, "Dude, you have to play this. There's just no way." He's like, "You're gonna play this. You're gonna sell me 1%. Everyone is here. Like, there's like the field is a little bit soft." I was like, "All right, whatever. I mean, fuck it." So I just jumped in, sold him 1%, and I swapped 20% with Joseph Steers, who was the one that actually chopped it with me.
Oh wow.
So I recall, but yeah, there was only 32 players in the field. And it was kind of interesting because I think once we got down to, I think only the top 4 paid, if I remember right.
Yeah. Okay.
And we were in the round of 8, and I was playing versus another heads up hyper reg. His username is Chuck Norris Q.
Oh,
and it was kind of a sticky spot because if you finished in that round, you got 0. And if you got past that round, you get paid like 23K or something like that. So it was a pretty big bubble. And I had asked him like if he wanted to like swap some action, just lower the variance a little bit because I mean 0 and 23K is kind of a big jump.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean he seemed like he wanted to, but he said he can't transfer any funds like because he's from like Estonia or something. And so I don't know what happened with that. And he basically said he basically can't swap action, and then he won the first match, and it's like a best of 3 format, and I won 2 in a row, luckily, and then
Nice.
That was basically that, and saw Joseph Steers in the finals, and that was really fun.
Was it like a turbo format, even for life, or was it like normal structure?
It was pretty good. The format was really good. I think we started with like 150 big blinds or so.
Okay. Was
If
it
I
like
remember, it could have even been like 300 big blinds or something. I just remember the structure being pretty good, and it was a best of three. So
is that taking though different skill set from you because you're basically used to play lower big blind amounts?
yeah, I'm usually used to the heads of hyperstructure, but I think if you're really really good at the heads of hyperstructure, you're going to be just fine at the deeper stack play as well. So I felt really good about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then yeah, we just decided to chop, and then I remember we went to we took a little break before we played the heads up match. We just played the heads up match just for the trophy. We chopped the money in half.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we both really, really wanted the trophy, but then we started drinking a little bit, and I was just like, just cheers, I love this guy, I'm just going to... And it's funny because we just started playing, and we were both playing kind of stupid. Like, we were just, like, kind of just laughing and just, like, doing stupid stuff and didn't really care. Kind of a friendly game, and then there came a hand, I just, like... I don't even remember. I think I 5-bet jammed, like, ace-6 off or something, and he was, like, tanking, and I was like, dude... I don't have a hand. Just call me. Get it over with. He had ace.
He had what? He had aces?
No, he had ace queen.
Oh, okay. And ace queen held, and he won the trophy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. So, and did you play other tournaments then, or was that the only one, and then you just chilled at the beach and took some time off?
I don't think I played another one in 2013. Yeah, I think I basically took time off after that and just enjoyed myself. I don't remember playing another tournament that year. I think the next year in PCA I just played I played a 5K turbo and a 2K turbo and like a 1K turbo, I guess. I think I finished third in the 1K turbo for like 12 or 13K or so.
Okay.
That's about it.
So you're not playing that many tournaments, but do you get, like, you don't really enjoy them because they take that long, or is it anything in specific? In particular?
I think it's mainly because, I grind poker so much. Like, I play online poker so much that when I go to Vegas and I go to Bahamas, like it's kind of like a vacation for me rather than like, now I'm just going to grind some more live poker. I kind of just like not having any obligations to be at the poker tables and stuff, because at PCA and Vegas, there's just a lot of poker friends that I have that go to those places, and I kind of would rather just spend time with them and just go out drinking or whatever rather than be confined in like at like a poker table for 12, 13 hours a day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's more of like a vacation, like social thing for me more than anything.
Yeah.
You said you grind a ton, and I think that's kind of interesting because me and Pedro talk a lot about like how many days somebody should play or how many hours or.
Don't tell Jack how much I played, because he will hate me.
Well, Pedro only plays like, I don't know, what do you play, like 2 days a week or something like that?
Yeah, like 1.5 maybe. But to be fair, and Daryl knows that because he's my coach, I study a lot.
Yeah, studying is just so important. Poker's always just evolving at all times, and whoever's not studying the games is basically just going to fall behind. Yeah, I mean, you can be one of the best players today, and if you don't study for like a year or two, you're going to be like maybe a mediocre to even a slightly losing player, like in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you play 2 days a week like Pedro, or 1 day a week like I do?
No.
I assume not.
I basically play 7 days a week. This year I've grinded a lot less than I have in the past. I'm trying to just like implement more life balance and things like that.
How much do you have to study though? Because I guess a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, and I would assume even people that know you, I mean, not people that know you, personally, would assume that once you get to like the top level, and basically no one really beats you, you basically don't need to study that much. Is that true, or how much do you have to study?
Not needing to study that much is very true, yes, but if you stop studying altogether and you stop growing and evolving as a poker player,
okay.
I mean, there's always new information coming out. Poker is just not solved, so
yeah. There's
always just new things, new adjustments to be made, and like new plays that the average population is making that you probably want to. I mean, it's just like a learning curve. You just need to be ahead of everyone else, and to stay ahead of everyone else, you got to continuously be learning. And but I mean, when I say that, you don't have to be studying, all day every day. Like I probably study on average, like maybe 3 hours per week or something.
Okay.
And there was a time last year, I think it was mostly, it was beginning, middle, a little bit beginning, middle, and late last year, where a few months would go by and I hadn't studied really at all. And you kind of feel it when you're at the tables. It just feels like you're getting run over a little bit, and then that's when I promised myself. I think I remember like 6 or 7 months ago or something like that, and I promised myself I'm never gonna fall into that trap again. I'm just gonna be a continuous learner, and I'm always gonna stay ahead of the curve and be the best.
Do you have to study different now? Sorry, Daryl. You have to study like different stuff now than you studied like a year ago, or is it just continuously seeking for those edges?
Well, I'm studying all kinds of things. I basically, there's a lot of cool features on PT4 that you can study and things like that, and then just a lot of game theory stuff that I've been getting into as of late, which I haven't really dabbled into in the past.
That's interesting.
And just like, GTO play, like under 10 big blinds and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, how do you deal with, like, whether to play when you're not feeling well and, like, kind of tough it out, or to just only play when you really feel like it, and whether there's any structure to the length of your sessions and how long you're going to play that day? Because I think that's something that almost every player kind of struggles with for a while.
That's a really good question. So, I'll give you the rundown on everything with me here. As far as hours go, when I first moved after Black Friday, like late 2011, well, mid 2011 and 2012 and 2013, basically all 3 of those years, I didn't have any structure. I would just wake up, sometimes skip breakfast, just get straight to the grind, and I would probably eat 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, and all I would do is I would wake up, I would play poker 2-3 hours, eat something, play poker for 4 hours, eat something, play poker for 5 hours, eat something, play poker for 2 hours, and go to sleep. And I basically did that for 3 years, like not even 7 days a week. And I didn't have any, I was just so passionate about the game, and I didn't have any urges to really do anything else. I didn't care to do anything else. I just wanted to be the best I can at poker, and so I basically devoted my whole life to it, and it was well for a while. But then in 2014, I was just like, I think I need to start getting some other things going on in my life, and so I decided to do like a structured plan of taking 1 day off per week and playing 8 hours per day on all the other days, like 8 hours of actual poker. So I would probably, the way I would do it is I would wake up, and I started meditating 5 minutes a day. So I would wake up, I would meditate for 5 minutes, I would eat breakfast, then I would grind 4 hours, eat lunch, grind 4 hours, have dinner, and then just enjoy the rest of my day for whatever else I want to do. And then so I did that for most of 2014, but I still ended up playing a lot of poker on the day off that I give myself, which was Saturday. I was supposed to be taking days off on Saturday, but I somehow just I opened my computer and I was like, I'm just going to play a few hours today. Yeah. So that's what I did. And then this year, I've lessened the hours even more to the point where I'm playing probably it depends if I'm playing regs or not. If I'm playing regs, which I have been a lot this year, a lot of regs have been around, I can't really play more than 5 hours in a day if I'm playing regs, because it takes such an insane amount of focus. And after you're playing a reg for you play a reg, 3 tabling for 2.5 hours or so, and then you take a break and you play for another 2 hours, like my brain is already fried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just tough to continuously play your A game and stay focused just playing regs for a long period of time. So I try to keep my sessions a little bit shorter. And so yeah, like if I'm playing regs, I'll probably play like 4 or 5 hours a day. And if I'm not playing that many regs, I'll play like 7 hours a day, probably.
That's pretty
And,
insane work ethic, basically.
Yeah, it's basically all about discipline. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
such thing as I don't feel like it today, or I wake up today and I'm just like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna do something else, or whatever else. Well, that's funny actually, because that's today. I woke up and I had some things to do.
Yeah, I guess like
Yeah, I woke up
every
and I-
day you find something as a poker player to do. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can procrastinate really hard at poker,
Yeah.
like insanely hard. But today I actually had shit to do. But when, like, I try not to procrastinate. I just kind of set myself up in the morning where I do the same thing. I'll wake up. I wake up at 11 o'clock every day now. 11, I find is a good time for me. And I go to the living room. I eat my oatmeal, read some Skype chats. Then I'll take a shower. I'll meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. Then I get on the grind. And
Yeah.
then
I got a question about what you said there, which really interests me. When you said that you had actually stuff to do today.
yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like when that actually happens, when you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, now I'm going to start a grind as usual, and then you realize, oh shit, I have something to do today. Is that actually, you know, do you feel happy about having something to do, or is it like, oh man, let's just get this over, let's just get that done, and then I can get back to the grind, or is it more like, oh, thank God I have something to do, so I can take a few hours off?
Well, it's definitely not, thank God I have something to do so I can take a few hours off. That's
Okay.
definitely not it. And it's also not, oh, damn it, I have something to do. It's just more like, it depends what it is, actually, too.
Yeah, of
It
course.
depends what it is. If it's like a doctor's appointment, I'm like, oh shit, let me get this over with, you know?
Yeah.
But if it's something like semi-exciting, like today, for example, like I went to, I had to buy some basketball shoes because me and my friends are going to join like a basketball league or whatever in a couple months. So I had to go buy some basketball sneakers. That was kind of fun for me, and then I went to Chipotle. Like it was like more of a fun thing, to be honest. So yeah, like sometimes it's good to just.
So then you don't think about poker at that time, and it's like perfectly fine. Because a lot of people
Yeah,
have that
exactly.
problem. You know, like when life comes into their way, you know, and there's like poker behind that, then they're like, ah, damn it, whatever it is, I just want to get over it, even if it's like meeting a friend, and then I want to, you know, hit the tables basically.
Yeah, I used to be like that. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And it's funny because I was actually a huge degenerate like 6 years ago or so when I first started getting into poker. Like when I first started like actually playing poker for a living. I mean, I would have like $2,000 on my ultimate bet account, and I would just be playing like $200, $300 turbo heads-up games.
Good bankroll
And-
management.
Yeah, my bankroll management was terrible, and it's funny because I actually had a friend at the time who was also playing very similar games to me, even higher, and with similar bankroll, he would basically just put his whole entire bankroll on the line, like every game basically. And I remember me and him, we had a conversation that lasted like 5 hours one night on AIM. It was that thing called AIM. I don't think they have it anymore.
Yeah, I still got it.
Yeah,
Did you still have it?
Daryl's old
Yeah.
school. That's why.
I'm super old school, yeah.
I didn't even know it exists anymore. But so we had like a 5 hour conversation on AIM that night, and we were just basically explaining to each other, like, we're just like, hey man, we need to get our bankroll management shit together because it's just the swings, the everyday swings were just such a big part of our bankrolls that they were just emotionally affecting us so much that if we had like a losing day, say I lost like $1,200 one day, I don't care what my friends want to do. Like I don't care to go out. And he was the same way. He had a girlfriend, and anytime he was having like a losing day or something, he would just blow her off, and he would just. It was just basically like poker was negatively affecting his life, and we had like a deep conversation about it. And ever since that day, I just decided like I'm not letting I'm not letting poker take control of my life. I'm going to be in control of poker, and I basically just implemented bankroll management, and just from then on, like it was just like it was like the pain of like 2 months of like just being kind of a degenerate and busting my roll several times and taking large swings compared to like what my bankroll was. It just wasn't good. I mean, my friends would be like, "Hey, like you're supposed to hang out tonight," and I was like, I don't. I would always make excuses. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But
That sounds like me.
I lost like $700 at the table. Like, who knows? Like, I was just like, I don't feel like it, and I would just like stay at home and play poker. That's about it.
Yeah. I guess we all went through that for sure.
Yeah, sure. And then it just all depends. Like, if it's like a strong enough experience to make you want to change it.
Yeah. What made you want to change it? Was it like really that situation that you said, okay, now it's enough, or was there some extern?
It was like that situation. Just like it was like my frustration with it, and plus my friend's frustration with it together, having this long conversation. I was just like, I am so fucking done with this. Like, I'm like.
Do you think without your friend you would have changed too, or it would have taken you longer? Because
it might have taken me longer, because I mean, like, if it's like if it's like a 30-minute conversation, it probably holds less impact. If you're talking about the same subject for like 5 hours, the ins and the outs, you're like just going into detail about it.
Yeah.
And then you wake up the next day and you remember that conversation you had for 5 hours. It's not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Total sense.
It's not like a 30-minute thing where we're just like, oh, this kind of sucks, and then tomorrow we do the same thing.
Yeah.
It was impactful for sure.
Absolutely. Man, that's interesting. I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially like the better things get, the lazier people get, and also at the same time, the more addicted so many people get. And need to be so careful with that. So
yeah, for sure.
So your start in poker you started about 6-7 years ago or something?
Well, I've been playing poker on and off before then, but I started about probably like as far as like playing for a living, I started about 6 years ago. I was living in Florida with my cousin, and I was jobless for like 6 months, and I had saved money because I grew up in New York, so I saved about like $40,000 working at a restaurant. And then I moved to Florida with my cousin, and I went 6 months like basically being jobless. I had a job here and there, like I was going to interviews, but every job was just basically either just rejecting me, and there was one job I got, but it was just paying so little that I couldn't even pay the bills with it. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna start playing poker again and see what happens.
Smart choice.
Yeah, it was a great choice actually. So my bankroll was going down. I had 40,000 saved. I remember looking at my account, and it was under 20K at one point. And I was going out a lot during that 6 months. I was like kind of degenerating, like just going clubbing a lot into bars and stuff with my friends, and basically enjoying my jobless time. But then I was just like, you know what, I can't do this shit. Like, I'm losing all my money. I got to do something. So I deposited like 1,000 on Ultimate Bet, and started grinding on there. Went busted a couple times or whatever. Then I remember it was December of 2009, I believe, where I made 16K playing MTTs on Ultimate Bet, just like random like $55 MTTs or whatever else was running. I had like, I think my biggest score was like 8K, and I remember like not sleeping that night. I was just like, wow, if I could make 8K every day, I'll be so rich. I was like thinking of all the things I'm going to do with all of my money, and I was really excited. It was like a little kid. I was just so excited about it, but then I realized soon enough that, I mean, it wasn't sustainable. But I made 16K in MTTs, and I started started playing 6 max and 9 max turbo sit and goes on Ultimate Bet, and made a little bit of money playing those. The games were just insanely soft. I kind of like they were just so soft. And I met a guy on there that I got his aim, and we started talking. And he was like, "Hey, like, I think you're good. Do you have like, do you play on any other sites or like PokerStars or Full Tilt?" And I was like, I was like, "No, I run bad on Full Tilt." Like, so
I run bad.
I said I run way too bad on Full Tilt. I don't like the avatars. I was just like, pulling all my nonsense, like, and then
It's so
he's like, "Dude, he's like, you need to be playing on Full Tilt and Stars. Like, this is where all the money's at." And he's like, "You need to start playing more than 2 tables," because I was just like 2 tabling at the time. He's like, "You got to start 6 tabling, 8 tabling, 10 tabling." I was like, "Whoa, like I can't do that. How can I do that?" And then he basically showed me the ins and the outs.
Yeah.
And he told me about rakeback. I didn't even know about rakeback at the time. I signed up on Ultimate Bet without any rakeback.
Yeah.
At that time, you had to sign up with rakeback to get rakeback. So.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people had that. I had that too, basically. By the way.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So I was just like, "What do you mean rakeback?" I didn't even know what it meant at the time. And he basically just showed me everything. He's like, "This is rakeback. This is how you're supposed to sign up for it. You should sign up for Full Tilt. You should play on here. Blah blah blah." So he basically helped me a lot. And from then on, I started doing pretty well at 6 max, 9 max games. Then I moved back to New York, and in late 2010. I had seen on SharkScope that there was this new game, the Heads Up Hyper Turbos on Full Tilt.
Wow.
Wasn't running on Stars. I didn't even play on Stars at the time.
Is that 5 years already? Almost? 4 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was basically 5 years. And I had seen that it was this new game, and the structure was kind of cool. I see they were always running, and I went on SharkScope and I checked the SharkScope leaderboards, and I saw that everyone on the SharkScope leaderboards was playing these games. So I was like, nobody on this SharkScope leaderboard is playing 6 max, 9 max sitting goes. There's nobody on here. Yeah. Everyone that's made all the money is playing these Heads Up Hyper Turbos.
I realized that too. Yeah.
So that's when I decided. I was like, wait a second. I was like, maybe I should just start playing these games. And it's funny is I just dabbled right into them. I started playing mostly hundreds. I played some 50s as well. I just started with the hundreds. They were very, very soft at the time. And I made $25K my first month.
Yeah. The good easy times.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I didn't have an EV graph or anything at that time, so I didn't know if I ran really well. I probably did. I mean, to make 25K at hundreds.
Did you get coaching or anything, or just jumped in?
Nope, no coaching. I just jumped right in, and
wow.
And I did well. And I was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. I was really, really excited about it. And then the next month, somebody had told me about Hold'em Manager. Like, not Hold'em Manager.
Oh, you played without the HUD all that time?
Yeah, I played without a HUD. No HUD, no EV graph, no nothing.
Nice, okay.
So then I got Hold'em Manager, and the next month, I think I lost like 4 or 5K, and my EV was like negative 7K, and I was just confused about the EV thing. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is saying that I'm supposed to lose 7K. I made 25K last month. This can't be right. There's just no way.
Okay.
So I was just like super confused about that for a while until I realized that I wasn't playing that well at the time. And the next couple months went pretty well. I think I was consistently having like 10, 15K months playing hundreds, and then one of the best things ever happened to me at that time, actually.
Okay.
In my poker career. A reg by the name of Helio TYF.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Sat my 100s lobby on Full Tilt, and for anybody that doesn't know who Helio TYF is, he's a 1K heads up hyper reg, and he used to play like 5K turbos and things like that versus Adonis. Like he's basically a legend. He kind of retired at this point. I don't know. He hasn't played in a while, but so at the time he wasn't a huge deal at the time, but he was like one of the best, like 200, 300, like $200, $300 turbo regs. Mm-hmm. And he sat me on Full Tilt. He didn't really play on Full Tilt. He was like a Stars player. So I had no idea who he was. So he sat me, and he said, hey, let's play 4 tables. And I didn't recognize his username, so I was like, I was like, who is this random fish that wants to play me 4 tables? That's ridiculous.
Did you know about Shark Scope though? That time?
He was blocked.
Oh, okay.
I did know about Shark Scope. Yeah, he was blocked. So he sat me and he's like, let's play 4 tables. And I was like immediately like kind of alarmed by it. I was like, wait a second. A random fish doesn't just sit you and ask to play 4 tables.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way. So I was like, I was like, okay. I was like, give me your aim, and we'll set up games in 20 minutes because I'm about to go eat. And he gave me his aim, and I went to go eat. I aimed him, and I said, hey, I'm ready. We played 4 tables. He basically, like, coolered me and god moded me and beat me for, like, I think it was, like, 1,700 in about 25 minutes or so, which is a ton. Like, 17 buy-ins in 25 minutes is, like, it is absurd. Yeah. And at the time, I wasn't used to, like, those kind of swings in a matter of 25 minutes. And he was basically just, like, getting it in good every game, and if he wasn't getting it in good, he was sucking out. And I was so tilted at the time, like, I contacted him on AIM, and I'm like, dude, you're fucking cheating, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. I said a bunch of
oh, shit, really?
Like, terrible, terrible things to him, like, and then he kind of was, like, trolling me. And he was like, yeah, he's like, Howard Lederer is my uncle, and no joke, this is what he told me. He goes, Howard Lederer is my uncle, and I can see your screen and I can see your card.
Oh, shit.
I was like, no fucking way, like, blah blah blah. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna beat your ass up. Like, I was like threatening him. I was like, I'm gonna kill you. Like,
oh shit, yeah, that's good.
He was like, don't be a sore loser. He's like, I can see your cards. It's not your fault. I cheated. I was like, and I was just like going off. Like, I was so mad. I was so pissed off.
In my experience, I've played every single form of poker. I feel like heads up just has to be the most tilting form by far compared to any other one. I think it's just like that one-on-one, like getting shit on by someone. It's just so tilting.
I would strongly disagree with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, at that time it was tilting for me, but like right now, heads up poker is not really tilting. I think the most tilting form of poker, for sure, without a doubt, has to be MTTs. When you take a brutal beat, like when you're deep in an MTT, there's just nothing more heart-wrenching than that. Like heads up pipers, every game, I mean, so you're just playing for X amount of dollars. Like an MTT, when you lose a flip, some of those flips have like $50,000 in equity. Like you can never have that on the heads up piper.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. Like I could play MTTs, I just hardly ever get pissed. You know, I don't get mad, but I could play like some random $20 hypers just for fun or something. If I lose like 5 in a row, I'll be like screaming and throwing shit around, just like random.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Crazy. So what happened there? And that's you said that was like the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah. So like, so let me finish that thought there. Where was I exactly?
You said that Howard Lederer, he's like his father, and
oh yeah. Like he was talking about Howard Lederer, and like he was just trolling me pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I can't even repeat some of the stuff that I was saying to him on AIM that day. I was so angry, and I was actually like believing him. I believed that Howard Lederer was his uncle. Like I was like, this is not possible. He ran so well, it's not even a real thing. So what happened was that with that is like I just cursed him out, blah blah blah, and a couple of weeks goes by, and I upswing and I do well, and then something told me I should contact this guy. So I talked to Helio on AIM, and I was like, hey man, I forgot exactly what I said, but just from what I remember, I said something like, hey man, I apologize for going off on you or whatever, and like he was like, it's all good. He's like I was just messing with you when I said Howard Lederer was my uncle, like blah blah blah, and we actually became really, really, really good friends to the point where we were basically just talking about just everyday life and stuff, like 2 hours a day. Like he basically became my best and only poker friend at the time. My only online poker friend at the time, I think, or my best one. And we were just talking nonstop, and he was just telling me like he's a reg on Stars, and we were just not even talking about poker, just basically just talking about life. Just became really close friends. And then Black Friday hit, and I was having a good year, when Black Friday hit. Actually, everything was going well, and I was projecting to make a decent amount of money in 2011. So it was kind of shocking to me when it hit. But then after it hit, me and Helio kept in contact and stuff, and we were talking to each other like, hey, are you gonna move? Are you gonna move? Well, he was already actually living abroad, and he was asking me if I was gonna move, and I was like, I don't know, like that seems insane. Like I'm probably just gonna play live poker in Atlantic City or something. And he's like, dude, like you have to move. Like what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, I'm thinking in my head, there's no way I can move out of the country. That's ridiculous. Like I can't just move out of the country. How old was that at the time? I was
Like 4 years ago, right? Like 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, I guess I was 24, but at the time it seemed insane to me. Like,
Yeah.
just literally moving away from just all my
Play a
family,
game on the computer. Yeah.
going to a different country in which I knew nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody, so I don't know. At first, I just basically shut down the idea, and then after that, I played on cake poker for a little while.
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
actually made like 8K or 10K in a matter of 2 or 3 months on there, which is kind of cool. But then their cash outs were just a huge hassle, and like it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Helio on AIM, and he said he was actually going to Montreal to visit his parents because his parents live in Montreal,
Okay.
and he was going to Montreal to visit his parents. So he told me, he's like, hey man, like why don't you just come to Montreal? It's only like a 7-hour drive from where you are. Just come to Montreal for a little vacation, like see how you like it over here, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. He's like, dude, just do it, man. He's like, just man up, make it happen. You know, just like, you know what, man, fuck it. Like, I'll meet you there. I'll go to Montreal. I didn't know anybody besides him. So I got in my car and I drove to Montreal.
Wasn't that like the picture that I saw in your car where you had like a black hat on? You know, when you drove to Canada and you had like what car did you have? Like a Mercedes or something?
No, it's a black Nissan Altima.
Oh, black. Yeah, I just remember black would look a little bit like a Mercedes. Yeah. I think that was the first picture that I saw from you.
That's funny. But yeah, so I drive over to Montreal, and I stay at a hotel, and he lives at his parents' house or whatever. And I remember calling his phone, and it was a number that he gave me. I didn't realize at the time that it was his parents' home phone number.
Okay.
I just figured it was a cell phone of some sort.
Okay.
So I got to Montreal at like 2 in the morning or so, and I called this number, and like, I think his dad picked up or something, and I was like, hey, Helio, how's it going? And he's like talking in like some other language, and I don't know what was going on. And then like shortly after that, I get a message from a Facebook message from Helio, like cursing at me and like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like you called my house at 2 in the morning. Like my parents were sleeping. They're like, who's this guy? Like, are you crazy? Like blah blah blah. And at that time, I was thinking, I was like, shit, man. I was like, I probably made a mistake even coming out here. Helio's fucking crazy. I don't know what I'm doing here. Like I was just lost.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know if he's gonna come see me now. Like I don't even know. So then I was in my hotel room, and the next day Helio actually came over, and he started playing like some $500 turbo heads up in my hotel room, and I was just watching him, and we were just talking about spots and stuff. He was playing Burnson 12, I think, if I remember.
That's
at
crazy.
the time. Burnson 12 was kind of like a big deal at that time, and then so anyways, after that, we went to a dinner, and like he basically convinced me to move abroad.
Yeah.
He was just like, he's just like, man, you fucking have to do it. And I was just so on the fence about it, and I just didn't know. And so, like, long story short, he convinced me to move abroad. He gave me a stake during my first, like, couple months.
Yeah.
And he's basically the one that pushed me up in stakes, because I'm a pretty big conservative. And he's always the one that's been mentoring me and saying, hey, like, move up in stakes. You're really good. Play 200s now. Play 300s now. Play 500s now. I'll buy half your action. Don't worry about it. Like, this and that. And he's helped me a ton. Like,
Is that happening a lot in Heads Up Hypers, or was just like a thing between you two, or is that pretty common?
What's that?
Is that pretty common that people buy, like they tell each other, just play higher, you're good enough, I buy 50% of you. Is that pretty common to happen, or is that like only something that happened between you two?
I don't think it's very common, no. It happens somewhat, but I mean, he just gave me the encouragement that I needed at all times, and he was always just pushing me like out of my comfort zone as far as going out there and getting what I'm worth, basically.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah, he was a great guy, man. And I remember he at that time, when I was having that dinner with Helio, I was gonna go live with the guys' usernames were Echo One and Don't Stake Me, two guys that were very known in the Heads of Hyper world at that time. Very, very good players. Echo One is part of Team 651 now, which is kind of nice. He's a great guy.
Well, what's it?
And I was gonna go like kind of stay with them for a little while until I found an apartment.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gave me the encouragement to do that too. He's like, dude, drive over to Toronto, go hang out with these guys, see what it's all about, play some poker, like get it together. And that's basically what I did. I drove over to Toronto. I was in Montreal, and Helio went to wherever he was living at the time. I don't even know. He flew away. I went to Toronto, and I stayed with Don't Stake Me and Echo One for a month there. And I can't thank them enough. I mean, they gave me a couch to crash on for a whole month. And we played a lot of poker in there. We went out. It was just overall just a great time. And then I met a couple other guys that I decided to room with.
Yeah. So you always from that on, you always lived with other people, like other players?
Yeah. From then on, I lived with Spanky Kirky and Ace of Diamond, and then I lived with just Spanky Kirky.
Spanky Kirky is a cool name.
Yeah. And then I lived with, after that, I lived alone for a couple of months, which was miserable for me.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of guy that can be left alone and be happy.
Yeah, no, me too.
I need people around. If I'm alone in my house, I just get really anxious, and I'm just worried about everything, and like, I don't know, I just don't feel good. It's just not good for me.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I mean, I have my girlfriend with me always, and it keeps me pretty grounded. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, even if it's somebody that you don't even talk to, just being in the house.
Yeah.
It's just comforting to know that there's another human being that's alive around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't get much alone time with like two kids. Like I like cherish my alone time. You know what I mean? If I get like 30 minutes a day where it's just like I don't have a kid yelling in my ear or something going on like that, pretty happy with that.
That's a whole different ballgame there. Yeah, I mean, you got to cherish your free time if it's limited. But if you have too much free time, it's no good, man. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think what's pretty crazy about your story is that I would say that a lot of people, when we see it from their perspective, and I can count myself in there. When I met you, Jack, I just thought you were God. You know, I was like, okay, there's this guy who plays 1Ks. If he talks to me for 2 minutes, I'm like blessed. You know, and no, seriously, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel like that. And it was actually not that easy. You know, like everything that you're explaining is just, it was a pretty tough time over and over and over again. And you just managed to, just always move on. And, there were like always some little things that came in your way, basically. And a lot of people would just look at your graph and would just say, oh, this guy just, like, his life was easy. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's pretty interesting to hear all this stuff. That I hope that people, when they listen to this, they see like everybody has those problems in life. Like there will always be something that you have to fight against.
Absolutely. And another thing I actually wanted to quickly touch on, just because you brought that up there, was I never really realized that people like look up to me like they do until like you just said when you first got in contact with me you thought I was a god or whatever. And just the other day just the other day, I'm actually launching. We're launching myself, Jason, Yovengo, Emotion X. We're launching a Spin and Go stable.
Oh, I
And
heard about that. That's you?
yeah, that's I'm in there. Yeah, for
Ah,
sure.
didn't know that. I heard about it today. What is that about?
Well, we're just basically going to start stake coaching, just lower stakes players at Spin and Goes, and we just feel that Spin and Goes is a very profitable game at the time, like right now, and Big Hustle is already starting a stable, and also Kill You If You Play and I Just Gamble are starting a stable. So like these Spin and Goes are like a big thing at this point, and we're thinking that it's possible that Stars comes out with higher stakes Spin and Goes, which would be really good too.
What is the highest right now? I don't even know
The
that.
games are so soft that it's just ridiculous, from what I hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really played them. I've probably played like 10 Spin and Goes total.
Okay.
But Jason's been grinding them a lot, and there's a lot of guys that have just been grinding them a lot and doing very, very well at them.
It's crazy. I remember at first everybody hated them.
Yeah. Hated them because the rake was so high, and everyone thought the range was going to be high, and the rake, blah, blah, blah. But then people started realizing, I guess Big Hustle was a pioneer of that. He went out and did that challenge. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
No, I didn't.
Did like a big challenge thingy on 2+2. It was like a big deal. He I don't remember the exact details. I think he played 5,000 games at like 8.5% ROI, EV ROI, or something of that nature, and people finally understood, like, wow, like these games are very beatable. I mean, but Big Hustle, I mean, he's probably one of the best players playing those games right now, to be honest.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, you always see guys like Cron-Up Guy and, I don't know, like Space Gravy and all these guys, they just play them. And I thought, well, they must be bored to play them, but I guess there's...
Well, yeah, they're a really good game for, like, just actually, like, an exciting game for, like, any, like, even, like, fish or reg fish, like, to like, degen off. And, like, I mean, you just get into a game and like, a $60 spin and go, and you can get you can spin a $216,000 spin, which is just like, it's like the dream for some people. Just like getting rich in a matter of a few minutes. It's just it's just priceless to some of these guys.
It's crazy. So you get like an 8% ROI in 60s. That's possible.
I think he might have been playing 30s, or he might have been playing, but 60s 8% is possible. Yes, definitely.
That's crazy.
Well, my roommate Jason, Bubble Outcast, he I think his EV ROI now is above 7 at 60s.
Wow, that's awesome.
Or so, and yeah, he's been doing really well with them. He actually spun a $7,200 spin today, and he won it, which is kind of nice.
Oh, nice. That's pretty sexy.
Yeah, that's always nice to.
Cool. Well, where can people find info about that? Is it on 2+2?
You're talking about my Spin and Go stable?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it should be on. It's on 2+2 right now. Yeah.
Okay.
We're called Team Crush.
Team Crush.
And it's myself, Bubble Outcast, Yovengo, Emotion X, and we're basically in it together. And we have and it's funny because I still didn't even get to that point. Our manager is a guy named Rudy, and he's a guy that's been playing poker on and off, just for a little while, and I'd never even talked or heard about the guy or whatever, and we talked for the first time kind of yesterday. Not for the first time, but before yesterday we were just talking about like stable stuff, and yesterday we kind of got into personal conversation, and he had told me, he said that he's been like following me for like the last few years. Like he said, you have a blog and blah blah blah. I've been looking up to you this whole time, and it was just like a really just shocking moment for me. I was telling Jason, I'm like, I'm so flattered by this. I didn't know that people just look up to me in any which way. Like,
I mean, you're like, like Super Mario Brothers. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You're basically like Bowser. You're like the end boss. The guy that everybody wants to.
The end boss.
Yeah, you're like the last guy people want to beat, and they know they never get there, and you always take the princess. You're that guy, and people are looking up to you. Yeah.
the thing is, like, I don't even see myself as that guy. It's crazy, and until like you just told me that thing, and then Rudy told me yesterday, and I'm just like looking at Jace, and I'm like, wow, like, how do I fail to realize this? He's like, yeah, man. He's like this and that, and I guess it all just happened so fast.
Yeah.
It seems like just yesterday that I was moving,
Yeah.
for Black Friday with like $2,000 in my pocket.
Absolutely. I definitely can relate to that. I mean, when I started with you guys, I was playing 180 mans. I remember that time. And
Yeah.
I contacted Jason, and I was like, man, I would like to get into MTTs and all that, and I'm looking for a stake. And he's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. I worked with him already for like 3 years or something. And everything went so fast. And then I just, got into coaching, more coaching, studying. And man, and here we are playing MTTs, playing like $200 MTTs. And it feels like last week I played my last $15 180s or something.
Uh-huh.
Or like $3 rebuy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just pretty normal to just like... Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, I think it's just like pretty normal to like admire like the guys who are like killing at like the highest stakes, like the most like elite level, I think that's just mostly what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that now. It's just, for some reason, it was kind of like a blockage in my brain. Sometimes I don't even realize, like, how high I'm playing. I just play. Like, I don't see them as $500 or 1K games or anything like that. I'm just...
Yeah.
It's almost just like a video game. It's just like a number on the screen. It's not even like actual money. I'm just playing at this, It says 1K, but I don't even see the
I know
money.
what you mean.
It's so weird to explain. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing that happens to someone who plays $1 180 mans, and a year later he plays $15 180 mans. Like, at the beginning, the swings for losing $50 are just so terrible, and a year later, when they lose like 1.5K, which is 50 binds, it's just like, yeah, it's pretty standard. It just comes with time. That's basically, I think, what it is.
for sure, absolutely. Like the swings, like you learn to deal with it. Like you're gonna deal with them better. Like like the seventh big downswing you go on is always gonna be better.
Yes, exactly.
And also, it gets better as your bankroll gets bigger. Your swings are just going to affect you a little bit less and things like that.
Yeah.
But I remember, now that we're talking about swings, that time when I was mentioning I was living alone for a couple months there.
Yeah.
I had actually went on like a 50K downswing, and at that time, that was a pretty big portion of my roll. I think at that time, this was like 2 years ago. I lost like 50K. I was really, really down about it and just very just like upset about it. Just kind of like almost kind of depressed. Like I didn't want to do anything besides play poker.
Playing, yeah. Do you think that had anything to do with you being alone? That was that correlating with you being alone that you had that downswing, or?
I think it's very possible because when I'm by myself, I'm very anxious.
Yeah.
And if you're anxious, then you won't be able to play poker that well because your brain is not working that well. Anxious.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's basically whatever causes, I mean, not tilt necessarily, but whatever causes you to not play your A game.
Yes.
Even in life, is affecting.
Which is any emotion is actually the answer to that. Any emotion.
Yeah. Will
cause you not to play your A game. It could be anxiety. It could be fear. It could be anger. Whatever. Even if you're super super happy, you don't play your A game because just emotions get in the way of the thinking part of your brain, as Jared Tendler explains in his book or whatever. I found very interesting. Very interesting.
I have a few rules. I don't know if you heard of anyone talking about it like this, or if you watched any of the videos that I made about this, but whenever I talk about this, people think I'm crazy. But it works for me, and Daryl basically kind of follows these things too. And I'm pretty interested in hearing what you think about it. So basically, on a Sunday when I play, I prepare myself by not allowing anyone, any of my friends, any of my family members, my girlfriend, to talk any negative stuff. If anyone ever calls me on a Sunday, people don't do it anymore because they know that I don't accept it. But whenever someone talks about negative stuff, even if it's bad beat, I just hang up the phone. I don't even talk
Perfect.
about it. And
Perfect.
that's for Sunday, you know. For Sunday, no one even needs to talk about it. I sleep as much as I want, and I have those other rules where no caffeine, no sex on Sunday, which people are like, "Whoa, what does sex have to do with that?" But basically, nothing that's at all negative.
Hmm.
Do you have anything like that, or you just are not getting affected to that? Do you think that would help someone who starts?
I don't have anything like that, but as far as hearing negative things, I ignore anything that's somebody sends me a bad beat, or I'm not even gonna look at it.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if it's Sunday or it's Monday or it's Thursday. I don't care to see any bad beats really, unless it's something like a productive hand where you're just like, how would you play this turn? How would you play this river? Not like, oh
exactly.
look,
Yeah.
got it in tens versus queen, like queens versus tens, and I lost. Like I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. No, of course. I mean, anything that's
Right?
just
But um, I control that with meditating. So
yeah. When did you
before
start
my session,
meditating? That's also interesting.
I started meditating about exactly 1 year ago.
Okay. How did that happen?
But
You heard about it, or
yeah, like I read a lot about it, and then Jason was always mentioning like all the benefits of it and things like that, and how it clears your mind, and you kind of want to be in a very good place before you start playing a poker session.
yeah,
And so even if you're not feeling well, if you can just sit down and meditate for 10 minutes, it's actually really hard when you first start meditating
oh yeah,
because you're basically
yeah.
just
We do
sitting
that
down,
too.
staring at a wall and breathing in and out and thinking of nothing or whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, not thinking.
Yeah, basically like just nothing. It's kind of hard at first, and
Yeah.
but if you do meditate for like 10 minutes, you'll be surprised. Like a month goes by, and you feel. I mean, I can only speak for myself, I guess, but I feel a lot different. I feel more clear at the tables, and just a lot more relaxed,
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
A lot of people experience that actually when they start meditating. And for anyone out there, actually, there is a site called Headspace. I don't know if you heard about it, Jack. It's basically about meditating. It's like guided meditation, and like I think the first 10 days are free. It's like 10 minutes per day, and he basically explains very well how meditating goes, what you can do to improve that, and what benefits you get. And like the first 10 days are completely free. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me for meditation, I mean, obviously there's like the relaxing / all the other benefits. I think the biggest one was just being able to be in the moment and be present for things. And like you could even enjoy like the simplest things. Like you could sit outside like and watch like the rain and just be super focused on like the rain like dripping on the ground and like all the like the puddles and
There's nothing better than watching the rain, man. I love it. I sit down.
That probably sounds like the weirdest thing to like anyone who's like not used to like meditating or thinking at the moment.
Yeah,
But
not in this like meditative Zen state of mind kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I can sit on a balcony and watch the rain for hours on end, and just like with a smile on my face, just enjoying
Yeah.
it.
That's fantastic. I love that. It's so
It's
good.
amazing.
yeah, it's just like things like that are just like feeling the wind and just like being really happy to just do that. I don't know, just gets you out of your head and like constantly thinking and just like in the moment, just enjoying, what's going on. And I guess that's kind of what, kind of what life is all about, I guess. Although I hate saying shit like that, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me, I know what you're saying.
And
Today, while I was at the mall or whatever,
it's
I don't know.
so sorry.
Meditate. What were you saying, guy?
No, just go on. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so I was at the mall or whatever, and I find myself randomly just like with this huge smile on my face. I'm always wondering, like, are these guys like at the mall, are they like looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is this kid so happy? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm just like walking with this huge smile on my face. Like, I don't even know why. I guess it's because like, it's possible it's because I meditate, or it's possible because I'm just really satisfied with where I'm at in my life. It could be several things, but I find myself doing that a lot, where I'll just be walking down the street, and I just enjoy just watching people just, I'll just be walking down the street, and I enjoy watching people just going to work and just walking around. I see them like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just it sounds insane, but
No, it makes total sense for sure for me
Yeah,
at least.
it's not something you could do if you're just like walking around and just like 1 million random thoughts in your head are going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I find myself thinking. I walk by people and I'm just like, who is this guy? Like, what's his story? Like, who is this man? Where did he come from? Like,
Yeah.
how did he grow up? You know, like I have all these questions, like just about everything. Like I'm just so observant these days, as far as like anytime I step out of the house, I'm just so focused on all these people. Like walking down the street, and I understand that they all have like a different story and different backgrounds and things like that. It's just so fascinating to me. Like it's just and it's probably insane to some other people, but
Have you ever tried to just randomly ask someone?
I actually haven't. Actually, it was so funny you just mentioned that too, because there was this today I was at the mall and I went to the food court to eat by myself, and it was like a little 12-year-old like Indian kid just walked up and was like, "Is somebody sitting here?" And I was like, "No," and he sat across from me,
Okay.
and he was just sitting there, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, are his parents gonna show up soon? Is his brother here? And he was just randomly eating like
Okay.
this like cow-looking thingy, and I probably should have asked him like, hey man, like, what are you doing here? Like, where are your parents? Like, what brought you here? Like, he just seemed like he was really, just from looking at him, like he just seemed like he was really lost and just like a random 12-year-old kid, like just by himself, just eating the calzone in the food court.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. Looking back on it, I probably should have said something to the guy, and because I was just so curious as to how he found himself in that situation.
Yeah. I think that like a lot of people are basically not really sure what to do in that moment, even if they think about it all the time, like you do and I do. When that moment happens, we're like, now I'm confused.
Yeah.
Not sure what to do with the situation. And I had that actually with Daryl's daughter yesterday. You know, she was basically on the mic, and Daryl had to grab something, and I was like, okay, now there's this 6-year-old girl, right?
Yeah, she's 6.
She's 6, and what do I talk with her? And then she was like really nice, and then all of a sudden we had a conversation, and I never met her, but at the beginning we always feel this like, okay, how do I start? And even though I always ask myself, okay, how is it going to be when I talk to Daryl's kids one day, when I meet them or something? Like, how's that going to look like? But I never really thought about that situation. I think you had exactly that same experience.
Yeah, it was very similar, but like I think mine's a little bit different in that I kind of know what I would have said to him, but I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable or offended in any way, because I mean I'm just a random stranger to him, and I know that like some people, like especially like a 12-year-old kid that's by himself, like he might feel a little bit uncomfortable if I just start asking random questions and stuff. And
Do you know?
I don't really want to be in that spot.
Do you know the book by Dale Carnegie?
How to Win Friends.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Do you know that book?
I was looking at that on Amazon yesterday night.
Yeah.
And it has really, really good reviews, like unbelievable.
Oh man, you have to read it. I'm just sending it to you. Oh, you know it, right? So okay, so I don't need to send it.
I didn't buy it because I didn't like the title.
It's fantastic. It has nothing to do with influencing people. It's all about not making people uncomfortable that you talk with. And he talks about one very interesting situation where he just goes to a what do you call it, like a bank counter? There's like that person standing. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
A bank teller?
Bank teller? I don't know. That's
the
name? A bank teller, okay. So he got there, and the man in front of him had, like, it just looked like he had really nice hair. And so basically he just said, I admire your hair. It looks really, really nice, or something like that. Something very simple. And that person didn't really know what to say about it, but he couldn't say anything negative, or he couldn't even think anything negative because it was really nice.
Uh-huh.
And so he told this story in front of his students, and then one of his students said, "But why did you tell it to him? Like, did you have any reason?" And he was like, "Well, I just wanted to be nice."
Yeah.
You know, and he went on explaining a lot of situations where you can just be really nice and honest to someone, and that's the only trick, you know, that people, as long as you're honest, it doesn't really matter what people think about it, because they cannot think any negative stuff. It's an awesome book.
I thought it was more about like manipulation or something.
No.
Like, it reminds me of this time I was sitting at like a casino or whatever, playing like a live tournament.
Yeah.
And this guy, he goes up to like the tournament director. He's like, "Oh yeah, really nice suit." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then like 2 seconds later, he asks him for something. Then like, of course, the guy does it. Like, all right.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, where you just like compliment someone and then ask them for a favor or something like that.
No, it's really about being honest. It's
okay.
Yeah. I mean, this book is maybe like 80 years old or something, or even older. I don't know, but
those are some of the best books, man. The ones that are really old like that, and some of those guys back then just had it all figured out. They had it all figured out.
For sure. I mean, there's this guy. Do you hear Tim Ferriss podcasts or anything like that?
I actually don't listen to any podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch a lot of. I just basically watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'm more of like a visual, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it. You like Elliot Halls and all that.
Elliot Halls, yeah, Tony Robbins, Stephen Florino. It's like
it's so good.
There's just many other people that I listen to all the time. Actually, I'm watching videos all the time on anything with psychology is just interesting to me.
Yeah, I just want to mention something real quick about Tim Ferriss. He always recommends books, and he talks about a book by Seneca. I don't know if you know Seneca, but he was living in 2,000 years ago, right? Like 1,950 years ago or something. And he was the guy. How do you call that? Like the guy that was helping the king, basically, back then.
I don't know.
But
don't know much about that stuff.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, it was like basically the older guy that's helping the 19-year-old king in Greece.
Okay.
And
the only thing that comes to mind is like Game of Thrones, like Tywin Lannister or something.
Yeah, something like that, basically. Yeah, and so this guy basically wrote him. I think it was 17 letters that he wrote to this basically new king to help him in his life and to help him, in finance, in how to deal with people, how to deal with tough people, how to deal with slaves and all that stuff. And he wrote a book about it, basically. And the book is about those 17 letters. And very, very interesting. And it was written 2,000 years ago. And Tim Ferriss always relates his success to this book from 2,000 years ago. Because what you mentioned, Jack, is pretty interesting when you said, yeah, they had it figured out. And when I hear something like this, I believe that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people should just pay more compliments to people just in general. If you see something you like about somebody, like, you should probably say it. The only problem with this guy, like, if it was like something like, if I had something really positive to tell him, I would have said it. Like talking about this Indian kid that I seen at the food court today.
Yeah.
Like if it was like, oh, I really like your shirt, man. Like blah blah blah. But it was like, it was almost like part of me just like felt bad for him. Like I didn't know what he must have been going through. Like, because I don't know what random 12-year-old kid is just at the and just the way he looked like really fragile and vulnerable, and he just struck me as like somebody that's like been abandoned almost in a way. I kind of wanted to just find out about it. And I was just really curious, but as I said, like, I mean, I thought there was a chance that he might have took offense or been uncomfortable with the situation, so I kind of just didn't say anything.
Seems like to me like you would be interested in something like outside of poker, helping people, or I don't know, helping people in some kind of way. Is there something you want to do outside of poker eventually?
Like a psychologist of some sort. Yeah, I just love giving advice and talking about like psychological issues, and I mean, I think if all people can just understand the power of perception and the power of focus, it would just change their lives. Like,
absolutely.
What do you mean about the power of perception? Just like
the way you perceive things, because like, I mean, you can, like, there are people that have like no arms that are happier than people that are like multi-million living the dream. Like, how do you explain that? You know?
Yeah.
So true.
Like, what's his face? Robin Williams. He killed himself. You know, and then and then you hear the stories about these guys with like no arms, like doing all these sports and like living their dreams and like happier than ever and all this stuff. Like,
or yeah, like the happiness scales and like seeing like the poor countries kind of like at the top of these happiness scales and like the richer ones not like more in like the middle and stuff. Yeah.
So it's basically like how they perceive their situation and choosing to focus on the positives rather than focus on the negatives. Like, if everyone can just understand how powerful what you focus on is and how powerful like perception can be if you just understand it.
I think you would love this book. Have you heard of Viktor Frankl?
I have not.
He was a guy, he had a wife, 2 kids or whatever, had his wife murdered, taken away, his 2 kids were sent off, he was never going to see them again. This was during like the whole Nazi Holocaust thing, and he was put in like a concentration camp. And he went on to become like an eminent psychologist and just helped a ton of people, and he talks a lot about that, like perception, like how you can't control your situation and how you could just control your attitude about it, and he created this own like section of psychology called like logotherapy or something like that. I don't want to misquote it. I think you would absolutely love it. It's really cool stuff. Elliot Hulse has a video where he talks about him. I'll send you the link for that after this as well.
For sure. I mean, it's just like 2 people in the same situation. They could have the same exact like life circumstances, and one person's going to be happy and one is not.
Yeah.
It's just how they perceive their own situation, and one person is probably focusing more on the negative aspects of his life, and the other guy is just focusing more on all the positive things and just has a lot of gratitude and things like that. And the other guy is just all he sees is the bad, you know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know if you've read like the Eastern philosophy, kind of like Buddhism type stuff on like good and bad and right and wrong and good and evil or whatever, and how like it's kind of just like it's kind of like an illusion basically, and, like nothing's truly good or bad, and kind of just thinking makes it so.
Yeah.
And it's definitely interesting when they take it farther, and like even if you get 2 people to agree on what's good or bad, it's just they talk about like kind of like the butterfly effect, where you don't even know how that situation is going to affect you in the future. Like there's I think everyone has things in their lives that they thought was going to be really bad, and then like the way like the dominoes fell, it like turned out to be a really good thing. You know what I mean? Or vice versa.
Black Friday was that for me.
Yeah, for sure. Same for me as well. It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
It was the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life was Black Friday, and at the time I thought it was terrible. I mean, I went from a 100 reg to a 501k reg, and I made all these new friends, and I lived in Canada, and I lived in Mexico, and I lived in Costa Rica. I would have never done any of these things if it wasn't for Black Friday. Like, it pushed me out of my comfort zones. I met all these new people. I literally, I didn't really associate with poker players that much, really. When I was living in the States, I just knew like 1 or 2 of my poker friends that I used to work at a restaurant with, and Helio was the only one I really talked to. Then I came here, and I've met so many great poker players and just wonderful people, and I would have never had any of those chances if it wasn't for Black Friday.
Yeah, and also I feel like the higher you go in stakes, but that's for MTTs, for Sitnios, for whatever, people are a lot happier up there when they're like really successful. I mean, obviously there are people that don't get their shit together, and it's like a lot of smoke basically around them. But like the really successful guys, they seem very like a lot happier, and I realized that. I don't know if you have that too, but it sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good reason for that is that these really successful people are where they want to be.
Yeah.
And they've made so much progress that it's hard not to be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the guys that have been playing the same stakes for a long period of time, may feel as if they deserve more, or they want more, or they need more, or they haven't progressed enough to what they think they're capable of. So that's probably what causes a little bit of the more happiness with the guys that have made it to the top. And I mean, that's what Tony Robbins says. He says all happiness is progress, and it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be actual progress. It could just, like, as long as you feel that you're progressing, like, you're going to be happy. If you perceive yourself to be progressing in any which way, then you're going to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
I think Pedro, I don't know if you want to like tell on the podcast. I think you have like a pretty awesome story of like something really terrible happening to you and just being like turning out to be like a really great, like empowering thing. I don't know if you like want to get into that though.
Yeah, I don't mind it. But you mean that story about that girl that scammed me?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I was actually about to say something to Jack about that, but I would like to ask something first, or say something first. You actually, I think it was last week that we spoke, or 2 weeks ago, you said something very interesting, and I was always believing something kind of different. I told you that most people say, like the successful people say, that poker is 80% work ethic and 20% luck. And you were basically the first guy telling me, no, it's like 100% work ethic.
Yes.
You know, and I was like, huh, that's pretty interesting. And then I thought about myself, and I spoke to a guy who plays a lot higher than me a few days ago, and I thought about what we talked about. And one thing that I realized about myself is that, and this relates to what Daryl wants to mentioned here, I'm not the best poker player in the world, for example, in terms of poker. But what I am is, I'm a machine that never stops. You know, like, it doesn't matter what happens in life, you know, I just keep going and keep going and keep going, and it doesn't really matter what happens, like what you did, you know, Black Friday came and you just, you know, found a way to just keep going. Yep. And a lot of people just stop and procrastinate in the situation they are.
Yeah. I would just be talking to Pedro, it'd be like 4 a.m. his time, he'll just like get on a call with me, just be super hopped up, be like, oh, I worked 14 hours today.
Yeah.
I gotta put in like another 4.
Yeah, like, and it's basically what happened to me back then was I was something like 21 or 20 years old, and I had like a very good year. I made like 180,000 euros or something. That's like 10 years ago. And the problem was we got paid that money at the end of the year. You know, we were selling houses and apartments and insurances for all that. So we just finished a pretty big deal, and I was having a business deal with a woman, and she basically took all that money without telling me, and she disappeared. So I was sitting there, and I had a lot of debt. I had no money. I had a kid, and I basically didn't know what to do, obviously. And from that point, obviously, you know, I was down a lot of money. I didn't know what to do. I had no job, basically. I was in the worst situation ever. But that actually, like you said, Black Friday, that for me was Black Friday. You know, like, there's nothing better that could have happened, because at that point I realized a lot of things, and I learned a lot of things about life. And from that point on, nothing that happened ever to me could keep me down. Like, it never really mattered what happened, because you cannot go lower than that. And yeah, so basically, man, perspective is everything.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there for sure. How
do you get people to go ahead? Sorry.
I didn't hear when you said how much money she took from you.
Like 180k, half of it, so 90k.
Wow.
That's like back then. That was like $130,000 basically.
Jesus Christ, man! Before poker, I've actually gotten to a few. I got scammed a few times. Random get-rich-quick scheme type things. Nothing anywhere near the amount of that. That's pretty brutal, yeah. But I mean, after something like that, you feel that pain, and it makes you just want to never be in that spot ever again. And
yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what you said there. Yeah, absolutely. You do whatever it takes. Like what Daryl said. For example, I had a lot of discussion. I don't know if you saw that actually in our Skype chat with the rest of the group. I had a lot of discussions about playing only 1 or 2 days a week. when I told them, I mean, you can just shark scope me basically. I mean, you guys know that, and my results get better every single year, and I start playing less every single year. But that's because whenever I play, and you mentioned it already, I'm 100,000% focused. You know, there's like nothing that can happen that can ever get me out of that focus.
That focus is just so important, man. Like the focus is just at the poker tables.
Oh yeah.
It's just I won't even acknowledge anyone while I'm playing poker. Like I'll throw the Skype aside. I'll just everything. You just have to be so zoned in that like even if somebody's right next to you, like trying to ask you something, you don't even hear what they're saying or acknowledge that they're even there. You're just so focused on what's going on in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to be to have 100% focus in your games. And I mean, when you're focused 100%, you're gonna be playing very well. You're gonna pick up on spots that you probably would have missed if you're kind of like half-assing it, or you got Facebook on the side, or you have, you know, you're having Skype combos on the side, or whatever else it may be.
Yeah, I think there is there is a very interesting TED Talk about music, and this title is "Why You Don't Get Laid That Often," something like that. I don't know if you heard it, but you will love it. It's that guy basically what he does. He gives you like a math quiz, but very simple. You know, 1 + 2 + 7 - 2 and stuff like that. And what he does is he calls out your name. So, for example, you know your name is Jack, so he just lets people in the room say your name, for example, all the time. And you try to focus on whatever you want, you know, even if it's poker. And then you have to solve that very easy math quiz at the same time. So people calling your name, you focus on something, and just people randomly doing stuff that's related to you. You know, for example, grabbing your purse or something, you know, like whatever, your pocket. And he basically tried to prove that it's just not possible if you relate something like your thoughts. If you try to focus and something in the room happens that you can hear that has something to do with you, you just cannot focus. So even if people only tell you, like say your name, you just can't focus on whatever you're doing right now because your brain tries to you know think about it. Your brain tries to be like, oh, why is someone calling my name? And who is that person? And what is that person doing? And all that.
Yeah, the human mind can't multitask.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to. Like, it's just, you can only focus on one thing at a time. And it's funny because I've always been this huge, like, I talk about focus all the time. Like, all the time. That's funny because there was a movie that came out, Focus. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Is it out yet? I think it starts.
It is out.
Okay.
And I was waiting for this movie to come out for like 3 months. Like I was telling Jace, I'm like, man, we got to go see this. The movie's about focus. Like, it's so fitting. Like, you have to see it. We go there, and it's funny because they also in that movie, that's exactly what they do. Is they'll like one person will bump into you, and then the other person's taking your wallet, and you don't even know because you can't be in two places at once, and you can't think in two places at once. So if something's happening, like somebody taps you on your shoulder, and then the other guy takes your wallet from like your right pocket or something, the guy taps you on your left shoulder and things like that. And that's what the movie's about. It's basically just people just using focus to their advantage, and they're stealing from people.
It's crazy.
And just stealing from people just right then and there with like all you need is two people, and one person, like, if you just touch somebody's arm, you can just like reach into their back pocket and just snatch something, and they won't even know because like it's just. But I mean, the movie overall wasn't that good.
Okay.
I thought it was okay, but like some of the ideas like about focus were unbelievable. I mean, I enjoyed watching it because I mean the movie's called Focus, and there's some cool concepts.
It's with Will Smith, right?
With Will Smith, yeah.
Okay. So how do we were talking about this, but so how do we, you know, somebody watching this, how do we, you know, either change somebody's perception or, you know, improve somebody's focus? How do you go about that? That's a question to like both of you guys if you're interested.
Sure.
Well, the first thing I would definitely recommend is you have to first be able to understand the power of perception and focus. Just read about perception, read about focus. There's like probably many books on it.
Yeah.
And if you just understand how powerful they are, you will start to realize in different ways how you can use it to your advantage. As far as focus goes, focus is just you decide what you focus on, basically. I mean, if you choose to entertain a random house guest with a conversation while you're playing poker, that's probably not a good idea, you know? If you're going to listen to music while you're grinding, it's probably not a good idea. If you're going to listen to podcasts while you're grinding, it's not a good idea. Focus is very simple. You give yourself one task, and you give that task your undivided attention and all your energies.
Yeah.
Just going into this one task, and you just give it your all. And that's basically what focus is. And if you understand like what kind of results you can get if you just strictly focus on one thing at a time, then you'll ultimately
does that call for like a huge lifestyle change? Because I think, you know, you're talking about people not multitasking in poker, but wouldn't they have to like change their whole lifestyle and like just not multitask in life as well? Or do you think they could kind of just like separate the two? You know what I mean? Because it's like...
I think nobody can ever multitask, yes. Like, let's say when you're with your girlfriend, you sit down there with your girlfriend and give her your undivided attention, like nothing else matters, you know? And some people who are going to love to multitask are going to be sitting there with their girlfriends, they're going to be texting, you know? They're going to be watching the television, just basically just giving her your half-assed attention, you know? Or if you're listening to a podcast, you can't give it your half-assed attention. Poker, everything in life is similar. You want to give, whatever you're doing, you want to do it to 100% of your capabilities.
Yeah.
And that involves not basically just giving it your undivided attention at all times, like whatever you're doing. So you can focus heavily on poker for the first 8 hours of your day, then you focus heavily in the gym, then you take your focus to your girlfriend, and then you only focus on what's going on in front of you. Like, you're not with your girlfriend thinking about the gym or that poker hand or whatever. You're going to be 100% focused on what's in front of you. And I think meditation kind of helps with that too, because sometimes the mind wanders and stuff. You can't really control it. It is what it is, but
yeah,
it's something that you have to kind of train the mind to do is the best way I would explain it.
Yeah.
If you can just somehow train your mind to just like stay in one spot and be okay with it.
Yeah, is this something you teach? I think you were saying you coach people. Is this something you try and coach people? And has this been something you could do effectively with people?
I haven't coached anybody on anything like this, no. But I give advice when people come to me for advice. I'm always willing to give them advice. I mean, I've watched so much stuff on psychology. I feel like I just have like a better understanding of it than like just the average human that doesn't understand the power of like psychology and how it can just like absolutely change your life.
I think one other thing that I like to add to that, because I absolutely agree with everything you said, and I think what a lot of people have to understand, but what you're saying here is that you need to understand first how your own brain and how your like everything that is like basic works. You know, for example, if you want to work out, you need to understand how your body works. If you don't understand that, basically your workout's going to be pretty miserable unless you just follow a plan from someone else.
So you want to be giving it your all. You don't want to go into the gym and half-ass it. I mean, if you're going to spend an hour in the gym, you might as well spend that hour giving it your all. Every single rep, just give it your all. I mean, the hour is going to be an hour, just like poker. If you're going to be at the poker tables for an hour, you might as well play the absolute best you can, and pick up on every spot, and just be exploiting people's, like, looking at your HUD. There's just so many things you can be doing better if the time's going to go by anyways.
Exactly.
Be more efficient, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, one thing that for me helped a lot, and I don't know if you can relate to that too, is that I had to understand how Pedro Gonçalves as a person works, like how my brain works. And I talked about this with Daryl a lot, that I attach feelings to situations, and people say sometimes that that's bad. You should not have feelings attached to poker. But for example, for me, it works pretty well because I know exactly how I feel when I get like a bad beat or something, and I cannot get out of that situation because I feel like it. It's just there. But what I can manipulate is when I feel like that. So for example, what I can do, I can attach this feeling to something positive outside poker. And so when you do, for example, when it's pretty simple actually, you attach like something negative, like a feeling that you have in a negative situation, to like 10 other positive situations. And so whenever that situation comes, like whenever that feeling comes up, you all of a sudden feel positive because most of the time you feel positive when you feel like that.
Yes.
And understanding that was huge for me.
You're basically in the midst of training your mind, and that's something that it's really hard to do, but it's something that will be so beneficial. Like if you can just train your mind for it to act the way you want it to act, for it to feel the things you want it to feel.
And when I was trying to fight against it, that's what a lot of people do and what a lot of people recommended me to do. They were like, man, you cannot feel tilted at that moment. And I was like, yeah, but I feel like that. Mm-hmm. So I had to, I was fighting against that. I don't know if you know what I mean, but I was fighting against that feeling. And it didn't work, so I talked to Daryl about it, and I was like, man, I'm always feeling miserable, or I was feeling a certain feeling when something like I got 3-bet happened. And so I read about this, and I thought, man, I could just attach different situations to the same feeling. And then I just went on and on and on, did it over and over again, and now, whenever that situation comes and I feel that feeling, my brain is like, oh, remember that good thing that happened when you felt like this? And then it's like, I just feel happy, and I actually sometimes smile, or actually most of the time I smile, and people are like, dude, you just lost the $500 pot, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good stuff, man. Like, that's basically just, you're training your mind there. Training your mind is like one of the most important things you can do, if you want to if you don't want to tilt,
Yeah, absolutely.
You just, but it's funny. I read somewhere. I forget where it was, but it was something like, if something bad happens to you, always repeat like a word that you associate with being like a really funny word. Like
okay,
like butt nugget or something.
Yeah.
Like you get like this huge bad bead, and you say butt nugget, and then you just have like a smile on your face because it's just so funny.
That's really valuable advice, actually. It sounds really funny, but
the word doesn't have to be butt nugget. It could be whatever you think is a really funny word.
Yeah.
And you force yourself to say this word out loud when something you feel is negative that's happening to you, or you feel down or whatever, and you say this word, and you instantly like have this positive emotion, and because you're smiling, like when you're smiling and you're laughing, it's hard to be
negative. Yeah, exactly. And
what do you? So your thing, Pedro, is kind of like whenever something bad happens, you're kind of like training yourself to automatically think of something good as well, kind of.
No, I'm not training myself. It just happens because I did it before it happened.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it doesn't work the other way around. So basically, if I happen to be in that moment and I didn't train my brain before, I would just be tilted, basically. So it works for me. And something that's interesting about Tony Robbins, and Tim Ferriss and Tony Robbins have a very good, interesting podcast, by the way, Jack, if you're interested in that. It's really awesome. And Tony Robbins said he's doing this stuff for 35 years, and every single day in the morning he has like a 10 or 20 minute routine. Daryl, you heard that too, right?
Yeah, I've done it a lot of times. It's really good.
And, I mean, think of it. This man does it for 35 years, and he still has that 10-minute routine every single day. And he said that he didn't do it for I don't know, he had like a time where he didn't do it for a month. And then the second month, his productivity went down. And he felt pretty terrible compared to the months or years before. And that's a guy who does it for 35 years. That's crazy.
That's kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of on that same boat. Like, if I wake up and I don't do my usual like eat breakfast, take a shower, meditate type of thing, I feel kind of just like weird throughout the day. Like it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, like all these self-help gurus and things like that are always saying you should have a morning routine, and it's probably for the best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Probably for the best, for sure. And then and also just like anybody who's sad or upset or down, like just like affirmations and just saying things that they're grateful for. Like I watched a video. It was a guy, like he's not really a known guy. He's just like a random, but it was a really interesting video because he was just basically saying like even everyone has something to be grateful for. There's always something.
Yeah.
So if you think hard enough, like you're gonna find like so many things to be grateful for. And if you just focus on those things, like he was basically just saying, like he's like be grateful for your eyes. Like you can see things. Like how amazing is that?
Yeah, we just assume that this is granted. We just take it for granted, and then
Yeah, exactly. Like you can see things. Like how amazing is that?
yeah, it's so true.
You can breathe. You're alive and kicking. Like you can. I mean, there's just so many things. Like
Yeah.
just the simplest things. Like just the very simple things. Even like homeless people can be grateful. You know what I mean? Like there's
Always something. Man, that's really cool stuff. It's I was pretty excited to talk to you because I was expecting it to go this direction basically, because whenever I hear about people that are reaching that type of success, it's just they're just doing the right things over and over again because it's like a process that goes on, and a lot of people think it's like the lottery. They
no. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like that one
Some
big
people
hit.
think you got lucky to be there. It's not the case at all. It's never the case, actually.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Unless you hit the lottery. I mean, otherwise, like anybody who's at the top of their field or is successful is there for a good damn reason. It's not a coincidence at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool to just see like listening to so many guys at the top or talking to so many people and see how basically just everyone's like on this path of like self-development and meditation and growth. You know what I mean? It's definitely really cool.
Yeah. The self-development, just that whole field, like being the strongest version of yourself and stuff. It just makes so much sense that anyone who hears about it and doesn't get excited about it, I don't know, like it almost doesn't even make sense to me that some people are not excited about.
Most people just get skeptical. I think if you go up to most people in like the U.S. and you talk about this stuff, they're just like, "Get the fuck out of here, hippie." You know what I mean?
I think that's the standard. Yeah, and there's like a certain group of people that can see the value in this, and definitely one of them. I see a lot of value, and I think a lot of the players at the top are, whether they know it or not, like their psychology is very strong.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Like they have a very strong understanding of all these things that we talked about today, and some of them might not even like talk about it or whatever. They're just kind of like built that way.
Yeah.
That they're just like so ambitious.
They're like, "Oh, you guys have to try at this." It's just like standard.
Exactly. It's like there's like they just don't understand anything different.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't even actually need. Some of them don't even actually need to watch any like self-development videos or anything of that nature because they're already like that beast,
Yeah.
They can be coaching those things if they wanted to. They're already like, it's already so like engraved into their souls.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing that when you just don't see that people admire you or something. It's the same thing that they just think, well, how else should I think? It's just so normal to be like they are that they don't see that other people can ever be different.
Yeah, my ex-wife was like that because I guess like at the start of our first half of our marriage, she was just like very laid back and positive and like always seeing like the good and stuff. And I would like try so hard. I talked to her about meditation and just be like, "Oh yeah, I just do that naturally all the time. Just focus on just being present in the moment all the time. It's just like normal." Like what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the same thing. I don't know if you guys have ever dabbled into the PUA world,
What is that?
No, I don't know what that is.
PUA stands for pickup artist.
Oh, no, not too much. A little bit.
No.
So basically, I mean, it's just like this world of like where these pickup artists, so-called pickup artists, they call themselves, which means like they just go to bars and they're good at talking to girls and they sleep with women or whatever, and they're coaching these people. They're coaching these people to be good with women, like people that are not good with women. They're coaching you on like just all kinds of subjects and things to say to be good with getting girls at like random bars or clubs or wherever it may be. And some people are so into that world, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the other people that don't need any sort of coaching because they're naturals, like they're just so good at it. And it's the same thing with psychology. Like, it's the people that really are looking for this help are the ones that find the self-development. And then the people that are like, some of the people at the top are so good at this subject that they never even look to get better. And they're just good being the way they are. If that makes any sense at all, like I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point.
No, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's just. Yeah, I think it's just like being naturally gifted at anything, whether it be like mathematics or sports or, just that gifted athlete who
That's
just
basically
never
what I'm
had to
saying.
try.
Some
Yeah.
people are naturally gifted with these things.
Yeah.
And so they don't pay much mind to it because it just comes so natural to them that they're looking at these people and they're like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, this is just really standard stuff. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know what I mean?
I mean, when you ask my friends and like, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago and would ask them how I would be like now, I would be a completely different person. For me, nothing came natural. I just had to work my ass off, and I'm definitely not one of those guys that you're talking about. I had to read a ton of stuff, listen to a ton of stuff, run against the wall a million times until I found the right way. I'm one of those guys, just hit the wall all the time and just, find a different way that it doesn't work and then it works.
I'm one of those guys too. Nothing really came natural to me. As far as I think, I mean, I just went out of my way to try to grasp everything that I've ever gotten.
That's crazy. So kids out there, just take that information. You have to work hard.
Right.
Jack, you have been super nice with your time. I would like to just ask you one or two short questions and then release you and allow you to make some money. So, Daryl, you always have those few questions. You want to start?
I think he kind of answered. I always ask like morning routines and rituals and stuff like that, so kind of already answered those.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, we covered a great bit here.
Oh man, yeah, fantastic. So I have two short questions. Wait, let me think in which order. Okay, so if someone, you could only give one advice that's maximum 2 sentences long to yourself 10 years ago. No, 5 years ago, sorry. What would that be if you could time travel back and could only tell yourself like 2 sentences max?
Wow, that's a really strong question. I need to think. I need to think about it.
Sure.
I was expecting something that strong. 2 sentences. 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, that was when I was like right before Black Friday.
I guess, yeah.
2010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. That's actually that time.
Stumped him.
I'm just thinking. Give me like 35 seconds here.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I'm counting. 35.
No, don't count. 5 years ago. I'm just trying to envision myself 5 years ago. Does it have to be like? Can I just list a few things, or does it have to be like like an actual sentence?
Yeah, I mean, basically, as long as it's like pretty short, you have basically just imagine you can time travel for like 5 seconds and just tell yourself something for 5 seconds. Then you travel right back to where you are right now. That's it. That's all the time you have.
be really creepy, just like myself like 5 years ago. Just some guy whispering to me for like 5 seconds, some really sage wisdom, then just disappearing.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa, what happened?
Wait, I want to answer. I really want to answer this question well. I'm going to ask you for like 2 minutes here because this. I really like this question, and I'm really. I just need a couple of minutes here.
I'll talk to Pedro about some random stuff. I want to talk about.
Talk to him about some random stuff. Let me just get into.
All right, so Pedro, I want to go vegan and gain weight. How do I do this?
Oh, you want to vegan and gain weight? Just eat a.
I need like 3,500 calories,
guys,
and I don't want to eat like 10 times.
I gotta cut you guys off for 1 second. It's so funny because we're mentioning like humans can't multitask. Once you guys started talking, I can't pay attention at all to ask what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, okay, I should talk while he's thinking.
That's a great like. Just as soon as you guys started talking, like my mind goes blank, and I'm kind of like it goes to like listening to what you guys are saying.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny. So repeat that question one more time. I'll answer it there.
Okay, so if you could time travel 5 years back right now, and basically let's just say you have 5 seconds or max like two sentences or maximum 5 seconds to tell yourself something, what would that be? It could be whatever you want to say, just very short, basically.
Okay, the 3 things that come to mind are take risks, be more efficient, and be a continuous learner in the field, whatever field you decide to be in.
Wow, those are strong words, man. That's so fantastic. Huh.
Continuous learning, man. Like Brian Tracy said it first. The guy is, I mean...
Yeah, he's writing like 2 books a year.
Yeah, I mean, continuously coming out with these products, man. Like you see companies like the phone company BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that over there? You guys look?
I know it, yeah.
It used to be huge. You remember?
Yes, yeah.
They probably thought it was just like, oh, we have the biggest product. We're just gonna fucking,
Yeah, exactly.
And then they just kind of stop.
Yeah.
And all these phone companies come and they're always continuously learning. They're coming out with all this new shit. They're all these new gadgets, and then the BlackBerry becomes like a piece of shit, basically.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is moving forward. The same as with poker. I know many guys that have that play the same way today that they did 3 years ago, and then they wonder why they can't win. It's because poker has evolved so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today, like if you play like how you played 3 years ago today, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Man, I reviewed a hand history from last year. That was when I was getting staked by you guys. I reviewed a hand history where I shipped the Sunday Challenge, which is basically a big major on PokerStars Friends, and I won like 18,000 euros or something, which is like 20.
Like 7 months ago.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I basically got third one time and I shipped it the other time, and so man, I played terrible. I was reviewing it, Jack. Seriously, I was reviewing it, and I called Daryl after that, and I was like, "Holy shit! How could I ever make money playing like this? How is that possible?" And then he said, "Yeah, but that's a good thing. So you just improved in 7 months a ton."
Yeah, my whole career is like looking back, like 6 months later, 6 months back, or 1 year back, just being like, "Oh man, I was fucking awful. Like, why did I think I was so good?"
I do that every 6 months to a year, and I'm just like, holy fucking, I suck.
That's good. So we're on the right track.
The new things that you find out and the new things that you learn, it's just like, I mean, it's the same with like anything else, right? Like, since we're on the topic of phones, think about the phones from 5 years ago. You think back, you're like, wow, those phones fucking suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you think about the phones from like 10 years ago when they didn't even have cell phones, like, or it was like those big, like, random cord phones, and like I don't even know what was going on. It's just, I mean, everything is evolving. Humans evolve, poker evolves. Just every single thing is evolving. So if you're not continuously learning, especially about the field in the field that you're making money in, if you're not continuously learning and improving, and you're just gonna fall behind the learning curve, and you're either gonna make less money than you have in the past, or you're just going to be even to the point where you're losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good advice for relationships as well. Like if you're in a long-term relationship with someone and you just don't grow at all, you kind of just...
If you're not working on a relationship, the first 4 or 5 months in a relationship, you're taking her out all the time to these dinners. You're like a little more spontaneous. Like you're giving her a lot of your attention. Like a year or two goes by, it goes stale. You're kind of like you take her for granted. You're kind of not. You're not like progressing in the relationship. Like it's just kind of like at a standstill, and and then things kind of go downhill from there. Like if you can't like.
Yeah, I think it's like I think a problem that people have is just they have like a fixed mindset of themselves, like they are who they are, and they can't really improve.
Yeah,
that's a terrible mindset to have, man. Change is the best thing. Like you have to be changing for the better at all times, like always.
Yeah.
Just always, you just have to be changing and progressing. Like
I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I think it was in some Elliot Hull's podcast that I heard about it. We produce more information per day than we did, I think, from 2010 till the beginning of basically the time when we started to write things down. Mm-hmm. So that time together is how much information we produce per day, right now.
So, like, more information in one day than the past, like, 200,000 years or something
basically,
like that?
Yeah.
Or no, you said since writing. I don't know
since
what that
basically...
I'm going to pretend like I know what that was.
No, basically, like, I don't know, like Egypt, 10,000 years before Christ. I don't even know when that was, but you know what I mean? Like, the first stuff when we saw that humans started to write things down, or paint. So we produce more information per day right now. This really correlates with what Jack's saying. That if we don't stay ahead of the curve, if we don't start to get better ourselves, we will just fall behind super fast. And every single year, it will get worse because there will be more and more and more information every single day.
Yep, and there's always more information. Just like in those 6 max sit and goes and stuff, It was a really standard thing back in the day when I grinded those 6 max games. Like 5 years ago, I was watching videos. Really standard thing at that time. For people to be jamming any 2 cards for 10 big blinds. Like people would just be jamming 7 deuce off, just ripping it for 10 big blinds all the time. Yeah. And like these days, like it seems kind of insane.
Yeah, and I talked to a few guys the last few days who said that 180s got tougher. And I'm out of 180s since last year. And yesterday I called Daryl and I said, man, I had a prop bet with someone who told me that it's not possible to win 3 180s in a day. And then I shipped 3 180s in one day, and basically I run that prop bet in the second day. And the interesting thing is, although there's so much information out there, people still cannot process that information that well, and that's like the next problem.
And well, that's a problem as well. But the bigger problem is that people don't understand which information that they should be processing.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of information, some bad, some good.
Yeah.
You want to take all the quality information from a reputable, credible source.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't want to listen to just some random and just take his advice, even if it doesn't make 100% sense to you in your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, you want to always be careful of who you're taking your advice from. Definitely, that's a huge thing I've learned in my life. Is that I only like as far as like the self-development videos go, like I watch whoever I feel I resonate with, but I usually look for the best quality guys. And just watch their videos. Like anything they have to offer is going to be good for me.
Oh yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of like quality info, like what's some of like your top 3 or top 2 favorite books that you'd recommend to people?
I don't really read books. As far as I listen to audiobooks.
Okay.
Getting into listening to audiobooks. I haven't read many books in my life at all. I watch a lot of like just all kinds of YouTube videos. Basically, is my thing. I listen to YouTube videos all the time. And a lot of Brian Tracy, he has like a 2-hour course on the maximum achievement. He also had a 12-hour thingy on continuous learning.
Wow.
And I listened to the whole audiobook of that, and it was really powerful. Wow, it was just
I think I just bought that on Audible. I'm gonna see what
continuous learning.
I think it's like accelerated learning. I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, accelerated learning. It has like 14 steps or so, and he just breaks it down so well, and basically just engraves into your mind that continuous learning is the key to life and being successful. And it just is what it is, and that's exactly what it is. And he tells us about like the 7 intelligences and how you can tap into each intelligence and et cetera, et cetera. He just goes on and on and on, and there's so much information, and he helps you like decide what's the best way to learn for yourself, because some people find it easier to learn reading books, others will find it easier with audiobooks or YouTube videos or like drawing pictures. Some people like writing, and like some people just like, I don't know. It's just everyone's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look, the main thing I study is education, and that's one of the, I think one of my biggest skills is just figuring out how exactly this person would learn best, and it's just setting up our sessions just completely differently. So for like Pedro, like our sessions are just like very intuitive and putting in reps or like talking like about very specific concepts. Some people it's like really general. Some people we just like get really into HUD stats, and I don't know. It's just like really figuring out what works for you and what like your skill set is and what your interests are, and like building your whole thing around that rather than figuring out like what this guy does and trying to like be exactly like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of people just jump in and say, "I'm going to copy this guy," and they just don't even understand how their own brain works, and then they're just gonna find themselves for the next 2 years trying to learn and just not getting anywhere. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, it'll be hard to. I mean, it'll be hard to copy some guy if you don't have tons of hands and hand histories, and like you don't talk to him like all the time and things like that. I mean, you can play very similar to somebody if you're always talking hands with a certain somebody, and you're basically watching him play all the time. You kind of adapt that style of thinking, and you in turn play very similarly to that person. I think that could be good too, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's like an easy way at the beginning, but then you have to find your own dynamic basically. Add it to it, and that's when a lot of people start stagnating. I mean, I coached a ton of people, and when I give them charts, for example, they start really excelling and start making money. But once you take the charts from them, they're completely lost. They don't make any money, and they start, losing it.
That's crazy. I mean, like you would think after a while, like with those charts, if you use the charts for a very long period of time, like it kind of gets instilled into your brain, and you kind of should know it by heart after a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy stuff. Okay, man. I have to thank you again.
This was fun.
This was really amazing. You're a very interesting guy. So to say the least.
Well, yep.
So man, have a lot of fun at the tables if you're playing today, and luck. Don't make it easy on these guys.
I will not.
Anything you like want to promote or cite or your staking thing again or anything like that?
I guess I'll definitely mention. I mean, Team 651 is a staking stable that me and Jason are a part of, and we basically stake all kinds of sit-and-go players, like 180 man. Like we're now looking more for lower stakes players as far as like MTTs and 180s go, because the higher stake MTT guys are just, the variance is just brutal. So we're looking for a lot like lower stakes 180 man players or a low average buy-in MTT players or any heads up hyper players or spinning go players obviously and things like that.
Yeah.
So Team 651, I mean just contact me or Jason, easy. And then Team Crush with myself, Paul Outcast, Vango, Motion X. That's gonna be sick, man. Like whoever joins Team Crush is just gonna be. I mean, they're just gonna be the best. I mean, if you have like the four of us together,
Yeah.
in one stable, coaching and mentoring these guys to play spinning goes and things like that. I think whoever has the privilege to be in that situation is just going to be very satisfied.
Well, as a piece of advice, you need to put that YouTube video in your staking thread. Just have that be the first thing people see.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I might get drunk this weekend and make a brand new one. I mean, that was a little while ago, and
That's always a good idea to make videos when you're drunk, and put them online.
yeah, because like the truth comes out when you're drunk. You just get really aggressive. So it's kind of nice.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's cool. So definitely contact him, Team 651. I am a part of it. Been a part of it for a long time, and I highly recommend everybody in this group. It's fantastic, and also, the vibe in the group is always pretty cool, pretty positive always. So definitely cool to be part of it.
If you want to be the best, you got to learn from the best. My opinion.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, pretty cool discussion. Okay, man. Thank you very much for this. It was a lot of fun. We'll wrap it up here.
Thanks, guys.
And man, talk to you later.
see you,
Bye.
man.
Later, man. Later.